Have you ever looked at your income and wondered where all the money went? Maybe you're earning a decent salary, you're not buying luxury cars or designer clothes, you're not taking extravagant vacations, yet somehow you never seem to get ahead financially. Or perhaps you've noticed that despite making more money than your parents ever did, you feel broker than they ever seemed to be. Yeah, welcome to the reality of modern wealth destruction, where the things killing your financial future aren't the obvious big purchases everyone warns you about. They're the silent, socially acceptable expenses that drain your wealth so slowly you don't even notice until it's too late. My name is Roshan, and I spend way too much time analyzing why people who seem to be doing everything right still can't build wealth. If you've ever felt like you're working hard and making good money, but somehow never getting ahead, make sure to hit that subscribe button because today we're exposing the 7 wealth killers that nobody talks about, the ones that are quietly destroying your financial future while everyone's focused on telling you not to buy lattes. Let me start with the wealth killer that's probably costing you more than any other single expense without you even realizing it: convenience spending. This is different from luxury spending. You're not buying expensive things to show off or indulge yourself. You're buying convenience because you're busy, tired, or just don't want to deal with the hassle of doing things the cheaper way. And it's bleeding you dry one small transaction at a time. Here's what convenience spending actually looks like in real life. You order food delivery instead of cooking because you're exhausted after work. You pay for grocery delivery because you don't feel like going to the store. You hire someone to mow your lawn, clean your house, walk your dog, assemble your furniture. You buy prepared meals at the grocery store instead of raw ingredients. You pay for express shipping because you want something now instead of in a week. You use ride sharing instead of public transportation or driving yourself. Each individual expense seems small and justified. $10 for food delivery, $5 for grocery delivery, $30 to have someone mow your lawn, $20 for a rideshare trip. But these small conveniences add up to thousands of dollars per month for many people. Let's actually calculate what this costs you over time because the numbers are shocking. Say you order food delivery 3 times per week at $40 per order, including tip and fees. That's $120 per week, or about $520 per month. You pay for grocery delivery twice per week at $10 per delivery. That's $80 per month. You use ride-sharing 5 times per week at $15 per trip instead of taking the bus or subway. That's $300 per month. You pay someone to clean your house twice a month for $100 each time. That's $200 per month. You pay for various subscription services that provide convenience, another $100 per month. Add it all up and you're spending $1,200 per month or $14,400 per year on convenience. Over 30 years, if you invested that money instead at 8% annual returns, it would grow to over $1.8 million. You're sacrificing nearly $2 million in future wealth for the convenience of not cooking, cleaning, or taking public transportation. That's the real cost of convenience that nobody calculates. The second wealth killer that's destroying your finances is subscription creep. You signed up for Netflix years ago for $8 per month, then you added Hulu, then Disney Plus, then HBO Max, then Amazon Prime, then Spotify, then the New York Times, then a meal kit service, then a gym membership you barely use, then cloud storage, then a meditation app, then a password manager, then a VPN, then gaming subscriptions, then software subscriptions for work. Before you know it, you're paying for 15 or 20 different subscriptions that total $3,000 to $5,000 per month without you even realizing it. That's $3,600 to $6,000 per year being automatically deducted from your account for services you might not even use regularly. And because they're automatic, you forget about them. They just keep charging you month after month, year after year, quietly draining wealth. Here's what makes subscription creep so insidious. Each subscription is individually cheap enough that canceling it feels petty. It's only $10 a month, you tell yourself, but you're not paying for one $10 subscription. You're paying for 20 of them. That's $200 per month or $2,400 per year. Invested over 30 years at 8% returns, it becomes $300,000 in lost wealth. You're giving up $300,000 so you can have 20 streaming services you barely watch. The third wealth killer is lifestyle inflation disguised as necessary upgrades. This is different from obvious lifestyle inflation, like buying a luxury car when you get a raise. This is the subtle, justifiable upgrades that seem reasonable but compound into massive expenses. You get a better paying job and decide you need a more professional wardrobe. You move to a slightly nicer apartment because you can afford it now. You upgrade your phone plan because the old one was kind of slow. You start shopping at Whole Foods instead of the regular grocery store because you're eating healthier now. Each decision makes sense in isolation. Of course you need professional clothes for your new job. Of course you deserve a nicer place now that you're earning more. But what's really happening is your expenses are expanding to match your income growth, which means you're not actually getting ahead financially despite earning more. You're just spending more to maintain a slightly upgraded lifestyle. Let me show you how this destroys wealth building. You get a $10,000 raise. After taxes, that's maybe $6,000 more per year in take-home pay, or $500 per month. If you invested that entire raise over 30 years, it would grow to about $750,000. But instead, you upgrade your apartment for $200 more per month. You buy nicer clothes, adding $100 more per month to your budget. You eat at better restaurants, spending another $100 more per month, and various other small upgrades consume the remaining $100. Your lifestyle improved slightly, but you didn't build any wealth from your raise. Meanwhile, if you'd kept your lifestyle exactly the same and invested the full raise, you'd have $750,000 more at retirement. This pattern repeats with every raise, every bonus, every increase in income. Your lifestyle inflates to consume it, and you never actually build wealth despite earning more and more money throughout your career. The fourth wealth killer is paying for status and image in ways you don't even recognize as status spending. You're not buying a Rolex or a Mercedes, so you don't think you're spending money on status, but you're living in a trendy neighborhood that costs 30% more than a less trendy area. You're sending your kids to expensive activities because that's what everyone else in your social circle does. You're taking vacations to places you can post on Instagram rather than places you'd actually enjoy more for less money. You're buying organic everything because it signals you care about health and environment. None of these decisions feel like status spending. They feel like reasonable choices about where to live, how to raise your kids, and what values to prioritize. But underneath, you're often making these choices because of social pressure and comparison. You live in the expensive neighborhood because that's where people like you are supposed to live. You sign your kids up for expensive activities because you'd feel like a bad parent if you didn't. You take Instagrammable vacations because that's what signals success to your peer group. This type of status spending is incredibly expensive because it's woven into all your major life decisions. The difference between living in the trendy neighborhood versus a perfectly nice but less cool neighborhood might be $1,000 per month. Over 30 years, that's $480,000 in direct costs, plus the opportunity cost of not investing that money, which brings it to over $1.5 million. You're paying $1.5 million over your lifetime to live in the right zip code. The fifth wealth killer is the kid expense spiral that goes far beyond basic necessities. Raising kids is expensive, everyone knows that. But what most people don't realize is how much of that expense is optional spending disguised as necessary parenting. You're not just providing food, shelter, clothing, and education, you're paying for travel sports teams, expensive birthday parties, the latest technology, brand name clothes, their own streaming service subscriptions, expensive summer camps, tutors for subjects they're not even struggling with, and endless activities and experiences. Each expense justified with the reasoning that you want the best for your kids or that all the other kids are doing it so yours can't be left out. But you're spending tens of thousands of dollars per year on optional kid expenses that don't actually improve their outcomes or happiness. Studies show that kids don't need expensive activities and experiences to thrive. They need stable homes, involved parents, and basic opportunities. The travel soccer team that costs $5,000 per year isn't making your kid happier or more successful than the free local recreational league would. The kid expense spiral destroys wealth in two ways. First, the direct cost of all these optional expenses is enormous, easily exceeding $20,000 per year per child for many middle-class families. Second, these expenses often force parents to keep working in high-stress jobs they hate because they need the income to maintain their kids' lifestyle. They can't downshift careers or take risks because they're trapped by the kid expenses they've committed to. The sixth wealth killer is using debt for depreciating assets and calling it normal. Most people understand that credit card debt is bad, but they've been taught that car loans are normal and acceptable. After all, everyone has a car payment, right? This normalization of debt for things that lose value is quietly destroying wealth for millions of people. You're paying interest on assets that are simultaneously declining in value, which is financial insanity when you actually think about it. Here's the math on how devastating this is. You buy a $35,000 car with a 7-year loan at 7% interest. Your payment is $500 per month. Over 7 years, you'll pay $42,000 for a car that's now worth maybe $12,000. You paid $42,000 to own something worth $12,000. The $30,000 difference vanished into depreciation and interest. And here's the kicker. Most people don't drive that car for 7 years. They trade it in after 4 or 5 years for another new car with another loan. They spend their entire adult life with a car payment, paying interest on depreciating assets. Over a 40-year career, if you always have a car payment averaging $500 per month, you'll spend $240,000 on car payments. If you instead bought reliable used cars with cash and invested that $500 per month, you'd have over $1.7 million at retirement. The decision to always have a car payment versus driving paid-off cars is literally the difference between retiring comfortable or retiring broke. But society has normalized car debt so completely that people don't even question it. The seventh wealth killer is the opportunity cost of playing it safe with your career. This one is different from the spending-based wealth killers, but it's just as destructive. You stay in a comfortable job that pays decent money but offers no real upside. You don't negotiate hard for raises because you don't want to rock the boat. You don't switch jobs for better pay because your current job is stable and comfortable. You don't start a side business or learn new skills because you're too busy and tired from your current job. Playing it safe feels responsible. You have a steady paycheck, benefits, and a clear career path, but you're leaving potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table over your career by not maximizing your earning potential. Studies show that people who switch jobs every few years earn 50% more over their careers than people who stay with one employer. People who aggressively negotiate earn hundreds of thousands more than those who accept initial offers. People who develop side income streams build wealth far faster than those who rely solely on their salary. The opportunity cost of career complacency is massive but invisible. You don't see the money you're not earning, so you don't feel like you're losing anything. But someone with your skills and experience who's more aggressive about career moves and income growth might be earning $50,000 or $100,000 more per year than you. Over a 30-year career, that's $1.5 to $3 million in additional earnings, plus the returns on investing that money. Here's what ties all 7 of these wealth killers together. They're all socially acceptable, easy to justify, and invisible in the moment. Nobody's going to shame you for using food delivery or having subscriptions or living in a nice neighborhood or spending money on your kids or having a car payment or staying in a comfortable job. These are all normal middle-class behaviors. That's what makes them so dangerous. You're doing what everyone else does, and everyone else is broke despite earning good money. The people who build real wealth on middle-class incomes are the ones who reject these norms. They cook at home even when they're tired. They ruthlessly cut subscriptions they don't use daily. They resist lifestyle inflation when their income increases. They ignore status signals and live below their peer group. They provide good childhoods without breaking the bank on optional expenses. They drive paid-off cars. They aggressively grow their income through job changes and negotiation. These behaviors seem extreme or weird to most people, but they're the difference between building wealth and staying broke forever. So there you have it. The 7 wealth killers nobody talks about are convenient spending that costs you thousands per month, subscription creep that drains hundreds monthly on services you barely use, lifestyle inflation disguised as necessary upgrades, status spending you don't even recognize as status-driven, the kid expense spiral of optional activities treated as necessities, using debt for depreciating assets like cars, and the opportunity cost of career complacency. All 7 together guarantee you'll never build real wealth no matter how much you earn. If this opened your eyes to where your money's actually going, make sure to subscribe because we need to talk about how to actually keep and grow your money instead of bleeding it away on things that don't matter.